I'm not even gonna lie, this is probably one of the most craziest, fucked up Sonic drama Twitter thing I've ever seen. Hello everyone, it's me, and Eldest, back with another video, and yeah, it's been a while since I made like a real commentary video, but yeah, there just wasn't really anything big enough that I felt like it was worth talking. Until, well, recently. Well, this story has been going on for about a week and a half now at the time I'm actually recording this, but I held off for a while for many reasons that will become more obvious as we go through the video, but I really was trying to get the full story and see if we can come up with some conclusion, but even now there doesn't seem to be any real conclusion to it, or, well, it's a bit of a mystery, and once again, I know I'm being very vague, but we'll go through it more as the video goes along, and it will make sense. So, everything will come out in light eventually. Now, if it hasn't been made obvious, I go on Twitter a lot. Follow me on Twitter. I guess I'm there actively, please. First time I pretty much advertised this, but I go on Twitter a lot to stay up to date from updates when it comes to Sonic games or just other content or what's going on in the world, but also to see any real drama or real story to really talk about on the channel, because Twitter is a pretty damn good place to find some really good content to talk about, admittedly. But also being on Twitter, I also see a lot of fun little creators and influencers on there that I generally do enjoy. I follow quite a bit of Sonic lovers fan pages that I generally do like, and they're just some of the most kindest people I've ever seen on Twitter, and they don't really do much anything. One by the name of Haley, she's just one of the most sweetest Sonic fans ever, and all she does is just post nice little fun photos and just images and tweets of her love for the franchise, especially Sonic Prime. She's a really huge fan of that. But for some reason, she also seems to get a lot of unnecessarily hate and backlash, and I'm not really for sure why. My only assumption is probably because she is a huge Sonic Prime fan, and that show within itself is kind of like, you either love it or you either hate it, but other than that, I don't really know where she gets a lot of hate. And there's a bunch of other users on Twitter that are Sonic content, they post Sonic content, that also has unfortunately getting harassed by just a bunch of other haters. I don't consider them Sonic fans, but because I don't think you're a really big fan if you find ways to hate, but there's always been drama of a bunch of Sonic creators on Twitter that do get harassed by a bunch of people, and then other influencers that are very, very controversial. And some of these names that will be mentioned in this video are people I've actually talked about on the channel before. But amidst all the drama, the thing that really, the icing on the cake was that it was announced recently that someone had actually taken about 100 or over 100 accounts on Twitter and released their emails, but also their address on Twitter. I am not joking. And this has to be one of the worst form of doxing in the Sonic community on Twitter I've ever seen. How they were able to get a hold of these emails or these addresses beyond me. All I know is that this started, I believe, on Discord, and then someone or a group of people got together and gathered all of these people, because everyone on this list has posted Sonic content or are mainly Sonic content creators themselves. And that was the target they were going for. And apparently the people that actually were behind this attack, this doxing, actually aren't in the Sonic community themselves. I like I said, I don't know. This story is just beyond messed up. And there were quite a few people that I follow or follow me that were on this list. No, I'm not on this list. I doubt I would. I only have like 70 followers on Twitter, so I doubt I have any attention really. Once again, please follow me on Twitter. I'm on there every day. Post a lot of stuff, unfortunately. But honestly, there was just, a lot of people went private because of this. A lot of Sonic fans obviously were forced to change their passwords, change their emails. It just was really messed up to see all of this happening. But of course, the question everyone was wondering is, who was actually behind the docs? Like, who released this, or who was the leader in charge, the main bad guy that decided to do some oopsies in the Sonic fandom because they just really hate Sonic, I guess. Well, there were a couple suspects. The first suspect is, once again, someone I actually made a video on quite a few months ago, the creepiest Son tail shipper on Twitter, the most #1 tail simp, or Moundu, I think his name is. I don't care enough to look it up for this video. I'll probably put in images here. But basically, this person, and I do plan on making a video on this in the future, is that they were a really creepy Sonic tail shipper that posts basically essentially porn on their account involving Tails having sex with older characters and humans. It's a disgusting sight. Watch that video if you want more intel on that. But this person was one of the main first suspects on it, mainly because they had a history of doxing people in encouraging their followers, because they also had a decent sized following, very much like Haley, who has also a huge following, to go after other Sonic Twitter fans on the site to attack them and harass them, even Haley herself. And so some people assumed it might have been them, but there was no information or any info or like any evidence to back that up. And then another one goes by the name of Arkurai Stacy X, I believe it's how she wants it's pronounced. But this user also was a huge suspect on the list, mainly because they also have a history of doxing someone. The biggest one that came recently was going after one user on the site. Not as big as some of the other ones named, but they do have a decent following for Twitter. And they had actually released their actual real name on their account and also started harassing them and not leaving them alone, to the point where the person actually had released a terrible off note on their account and then went offline for 12 hours. Everyone was obviously worried, but thankfully the person came online after, like I said, about 12 hours and said they were fine. That was a terrible situation. I hope that after all that they would get help. I wish them the best. It's very awful to go through that. It's very terrible, and if you ever do come upon this video, I wish you the best. I'm really sorry that happened to you, and there's always people that do care about you. So even if it seems like it's not, as someone who's been in that place, there's always a reason to keep on going, even if it's hard to see it in the moment. And because of that incident, some people assume that this user was also involved in the doxing or linked to it, but it seemed like they had actually left Twitter before this incident has happened. And once again, very similar to our tail Sonic shipper fucker, they also had no big evidence about it. However, the #1 suspect was also a user that I've mentioned on a different video on Sonic Can't Be Cute. Goes by the name of Crack, which it's funny. I said he. I assume it was a he, but I think she's actually a girl. But this one is definitely the biggest suspect of them all. Now, the thing about her is that a lot of people accuse her of making some very controversial takes about the LGBT community, some really harsh takes when it comes to the character Shadow, because that's what their big thing is, that they're a huge fan of Shadow. And another thing is that they just generally say a lot of transphobic things. I'm not going to lean one way or another. I've showed posts on it before. I'll probably be showing more posts now. Your opinion is your opinion. Take the post as is. But this was definitely the biggest one, and so many people were saying this was the person that did it. For some reason, I even went on one of the people that had accused them and saying what was the evidence, and the person then replied saying that it was only word of mouth, and it was just coming from people, but no hard proof evidence. And even after looking it up, there was not any hardcore evidence that this person, despite so many people saying it was them, that it was actually them. So this, whether someone has a natural bad history or not, don't jump into the hate train just because it's easy or the person has a history that makes it easy to jump to. Always make sure you have all the information and be careful, but also because the evidence came to light that possibility that this person is actually innocent, then other people were like, okay, it's not actually them, most likely. And so now those people were getting harassed for defending the transphobe, which is like, no, you're not defending the transphobe. You're just acknowledging that people made a mistake and jumping into conclusion. But the evidence in light was that the person actually ended up, Crack herself, ended up posting this on her account saying, "You should have blamed the dox list on someone who doesn't have screenshots of you. I was contacted by someone within their groups and given evidence of what was going on. From there, I tried to DM and warn several people who were their targets. They found out I did, and the result is them pinning the entire thing on me." And then they show a lot of screenshots of conversations going on about people messaging them. There was a lot of them trying to, I guess, warn people of it. I'll be showing all of those tweets in. She then would go on her account and then post, "Thank you for all the support to those who didn't believe that I would do that. No matter how angry I am at people sometimes, it's never right to do something like that. I'm sorry, I couldn't do more to warn people." So that's about it when it comes to that particular suspect. Some people don't think the evidence is legit. Some people think that they faked it. So some people are still kind of iffy if it's actually them or not. And as I said previously, now people are getting mad that there are people kind of defending her, saying that she, is most likely innocent and that they were wrong for jumping to conclusions. And so once again, I stand by, I don't take it as defending a transphobe. I take it as defending the facts. And if you were one to jump onto the hate train and accuse someone that was most likely innocent, then you should do your part and admit you're wrong and learn from it. So, I don't know. Also, there was actually another thing I found, which was, I believe, on her Discord server. Another tweet was that this was a message that was on the Discord server. I'm assuming the announcement. This is just a screenshot, so I'm not entirely sure, but this was something I did see, which is that Crack is currently offline, so I wanted to add in here for anyone who might be joining the server while this whole situation is happening. Crack did not compile the email list, and the last week or so after Haley initially got targeted by these people, she offered to help, and someone involved in the Dox group reached out to Crack to leak some info to her after seeing her talk about Haley's situation. A lot of the harassment and doxing. The group doesn't have any ties to the Sonic fandom. Crack used the information received from this person to help warn others. I know Haley and did were both reach out at the very least. The group found out that the information was being leaked to Crack and then decided to pin the blame for the dox on her. Crack does not condone leaking private information. There is no advantage to her being a public figure and taking credit for a dox that would get her reported and harassed. Her own art account, Quack196, was also in the leak emails. She will offer up her own statement when she's back online. This is just a temporary stopgap measurement until she gets back. Thank you very much if you took the time to look into this. It's very easy to pin the blame on her because of her controversial status and the false credit attached to the leaks itself. And yes, going through the leaks itself and you can see that she is in fact on this list. So I guess it would be weird to dox your own self on the list, but of course, once again, as some people mention, it could just be her faking it, but I don't know. So this, once again, the biggest suspect of it seems to also have evidence of their innocence, but that's about as far as we get. So I guess the real question is, who is actually behind the doxing? Who released this list? Who started all of this? That doesn't even seem to be a part of the Sonic fandom, which is absolutely ridiculous to even get involved with this. And the answer to that question is, no one knows. At the time I'm recording this, the far update of the story is that no one actually knows who's involved in this, who started this, and most importantly, why they did it. Because if they really aren't involved in the Sonic fandom, why go out to attack it? I just really don't understand where it comes from. Once again, I've said this before, if you really want to love the Sonic fandom, just stay away from Twitter, because Twitter Sonic is just literally the fucking worst. I mean, my channel should be evidence of that with all of the weird drama I've even discussed, but this one just takes the fucking cake with how brutal this story is. And I probably have shown you tons of screenshots throughout this video on how fucking absolutely brutal this got. Doxing obviously is never okay. What these people did is not okay, and I wish we could find out who's behind this. Will we? I don't know. I just recommend that if anyone who's on this list to actually, change their account, protect their Twitter account, make sure people know what's going on, and to the person, who did this, you really gotta find better things to do with your time, because this is just a pathetic way to waste it. I'm just saying. But I mean, at the moment, it seems like everything is finally clearing up and no real harm has come as a result of this, but it is still the question of who actually did it. I think a few lessons can be learned here is always keep your account safe, always make sure that no one knows your password or you can easily change it, always keep up to date with your account and make sure it's locked and secure. Also, I guess another lesson is to don't jump on the hate train, gather the facts or try to get as much information on it as much as you can in any incident. It's easy to hate on people or to accuse people that have a very controversial history, but having a controversial history doesn't mean you're guilty of a present crime. What makes you guilty is the evidence that backs up you committing the crime, not ones you've done before. And so that is also, I think, a big lesson for people to take from this. I've tried to be very open-minded throughout looking into this whole story, but at the moment, there doesn't seem to be a actual suspect confirm or anything. It's just hear a mouth and the screenshots that has been gathered. Personally, I don't know if we will ever be able to find out who's involved with all this and who started this, but at the end of the day, I don't know if that really matters, because I think at the end of the day, it's just to make sure that these people's accounts that got leaked out are safe. Once again, nothing terrible seems to have happened in the result of this, but still very fucked up thing to do. So, really shows the fuckery that Sonic Twitter is and just Twitter is in general. And it's even more stupid now because you have to have Twitter Blue in order to have a two-factor verification now, which is one of the most stupidest thing Elon Musk did on Twitter besides changing it from Twitter to X. So fucking stupid. Oh, I hate this site so much, but it's just easy content. But it's just a crazy story that I just could not look past, and it was so interesting seeing this all unfold in real time. So yeah, just crazy. Just really shows the fuckery of Twitter and the internet itself. But maybe we'll find out who did this and then let the Sonic community rage havoc on that person for all the shit they literally started. So, that's about it. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. I post and live stream as often as I can. I'm actually getting ready for the official update 3 of Sonic Frontiers. It's actually going to be happening in like 2 hours of the time I'm recording this, so I got to get my Sonic onesie ready. So, just a little heads up there. Really excited for it. This is probably going to be posted after that though, so hopefully that it's good. And we could talk about some good things on Twitter instead of whatever this was. So yeah, be safe on the internet, guys. Be careful who you release your info to, because when shit like this happens, you gotta be ready for it. And as always, till next time, bye-bye.